Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Friday Forecast, your Stay Tuned Sports prediction show. I'm your boy King. Right over there, that's your boy Jimbo. Your good friend Jimbo, actually. I'm your boy King. He's your good friend Jimbo. I always got that kind of, I don't know. Again, we'll get there. We just started this. This just started. Yeah. Now, during the season, this is going to be where we do our weekly predictions. Who's going to win on Sunday? Who's going to win on Monday? You know, maybe we'll do some betting odds or things like that. Maybe we'll even get a sponsor for that. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I'll see. But last week, we decided to go ahead and we're going to predict the divisions up until the start of the season, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do the regular game predictions every week by week. Last week, we did the AFC East, and both you and I kind of figured Jets going to run that division. Yeah. Outside of an injury to Aaron Rodgers, Jets are going to run that division. And that seemed to be pretty unanimous. I think a lot of people have the same idea. I've seen some people still grasping onto the Bills as one of the top teams or to fight for that division. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. But anyway, if you want to go watch that, you can go watch that over on our YouTube channel. Of course, check out some of the old videos there. And if you want to know any time that we upload something, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that little notification bell. We have a bunch of stuff coming up. We actually have the countdown on Tuesdays, where we're going through right now our preseason power rankings. Next week is going to be number 6, by the way. We're going to be in the top half of the countdown already. And, of course, the main show, the piece de la resistance. I think I said that wrong, but it doesn't matter. Of course, Stay Tuned Sports, the main show there on Wednesdays. So, I think without further ado, let's take a look at the AFC North. That's where we're going next on our journey through the NFL to see where we think everybody's going to end up. Now, again, last week we already said we think the Jets, both of us think that the Jets are going to run the AFC East. AFC North, I think it's going to be the best division in football. What are your thoughts on it? Before we jump into the picks, what do you think about that? Because I've heard a lot of people say that. I kind of have a feeling about that. And it almost seems like the NFL feels that way because they're doing Hard Knocks on the whole division this year for the in-season Hard Knocks. So That's my question to you is how do you feel about, do you think this is going to be the best division in football?
Definitely the best division in AFC, I think. Potentially the best division in NFL this year. I was just looking at my records, my stats for the NFC, and there's maybe one division that might be competitive with them, but definitely the best division in the AFC this year.
Okay, all right. Well, without further ado, let's take a jump over here to the. I gave it their own sound effects for a whoosh. All right, so we've whooshed. Here we are, and Jimbo, let's just get right to it. We're going to pop your picks up here and see what we're dealing with here. So, Jimbo, your picks are up there. Very interesting. I have to say, very interesting who you have actually winning the division. Jimbo, explain yourself.
So, winning the division, now, I came up with these records and this prediction before Eminem joined the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow coming out with the bleached hair.
I think he looks more like Cody Rhodes.
That's what I
know.
think
Everybody's
too.
saying that he's doing a Slim Shady. I think he kind of looks like Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, and even Cody shouted him out too. It's time to finish your story.
I saw that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I actually have the Bengals winning the division, going 13-4 this year. Much like the Jets, the key to them doing that is Joe Burrow staying healthy. If you look at the 2 times that he played a full season, they went to the playoffs. They went to the Super Bowl the one time, and I think made the AFC Championship game the other time. The 2 other times that he missed significant amounts of time, they didn't make the playoffs. Granted, Jake Browning. It's either Jake or Jack. I think it's Jake.
I think it's
Browning
Jake Browning
last year. he did a pretty good job keeping that team afloat. Just kind of ran out of gas there at the end of the year.
Especially with the distractions that he had at home, clearly.
Yeah. It feels like they improved their offensive line a little bit. And that was always the big knock on the Bengals his first 2 years in the league was they had no protection.
Right.
So, and with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase back there still, granted, T. Higgins is saying the right PR stuff by saying, listen, I just wanted to sign the franchise tag. I wanted to be out here with my boys. You know, he just wanted to play football. They pretty much all know this is their last go around with those three.
I was just going to say, like, we all know, like, this is their last go-around of the three of them being together.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to be able to keep all three. Mike Brown is not going to keep all three, you know? Like, let's be honest here. Mike Brown's not keeping them all. So I agree with that this kind of maybe feels like for them the last ride for this particular group. And maybe that's kind of what it is that maybe they talk to each other before the season and we're just like, listen, let's give this one last real good, solid, get this done. Like, we know we've made the Super Bowl before. We know we can make it. We know we have the defense. We know we have the offensive talent. We know we have all this stuff. Let's do it. Maybe that's going to be the focus of this year is kind of Super Bowl or bust for Chase, T, and Slim Shiesty there. Maybe that's how it goes there. And again, like you said, they you know, he's got to stay healthy. The times that he hasn't stayed healthy, they haven't done well. Like we said, Jake Browning did well last year, but not well enough. But they were, again, the Bengals were still a good team last year. Even when he fell off, even with Jake Browning doing his best as a backup, you know, they were still a tough team to beat. If you beat them, you know, I mean, they won several games with Jake Browning. That's kind of how he kind of became a story a bit. I mean, that's one of the reasons why he became a story. I'm going to reference his girl's bodysuit every time we mention him. So that's just understand that and let's move on.
Glad you saw my face, like, reading my mind.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, listen. It is what it is. That's all. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
We're just gonna move on. We're just gonna move on. But like I understand, I get what you're saying. But okay, so what are your thoughts on then with the Ravens? Now you have the Ravens one game worse. You have the Ravens at 12-5 here. What are you looking at there? Like where's the disconnect here? Where where a lot of people are thinking the Ravens are who won the division last year, who were in the AFC Championship game, were favored to win that. Who everybody likes to think of that way. Why do you have them not that? I know I worded that really dumb, but I feel like I'm Fry here from Futurama. What if that thing I said?
So with the Ravens, like, okay, I have them marked down as 12-5. They pick up Derrick Henry. This upcoming season, could this be a better version of Lamar with Henry? I'm not sure. We've seen with running backs, Henry's older now, and we've seen with bell cow running backs that run 250, 300 times a year. It takes a toll on them. So that's the biggest question mark for me with the Ravens is how much tread is left on Henry. If there's enough tread left on Henry, he'll help Lamar. Otherwise, it's just basically the Ravens again from last year. And I just think with the Bengals, they always talk about...
But the Ravens of last year won the division.
I know, but the difference here is I think this year with the Bengals, like the it factor of Burrow, Chase, and T. Higgins saying, let's get this shit going.
You think the last ride kind of vibes is...
Yeah, and I think that just gives them just enough... Forward. Yeah, and I can't remember if I think I have them splitting. The Bengals and Ravens this upcoming season. So the tiebreaker, even if they have the same record, the tiebreakers are going to be so close. Like, it's going to have to go down to like the fifth tiebreaker type deal to see who's in first, who's in second. But and these two teams alone now. I mean, with the Steelers and Browns, they're still going to be competitive in the division. But this is a Bengals Ravens division, and it's just going to be a really tough, good division to watch. Now, moving on to the Steelers, with me having them 9-8. Again, question marks at the quarterback. Now, I saw today that Russell Wilson did not practice. He woke up with a calf issue, so Justin Fields took the first team reps. If Russell Wilson of the Denver Broncos shows up, the Steelers, that record may be even a little bit worse. But if they could get just a slither of the Russell Wilson from Seattle.
A slither?
Yeah.
You mean sliver, correct?
No, in Jimbo Gauge.
I was going to say we had our first Jimbo Gauge moment here on Friday Forecast. We've had the slither. It's like if they can slither their, like, I get that too. Like if that's what you want to say, they can slither their way to a better record. Like all right, I get it.
There comes Russell Wilson slithering into a better.
I'm a sneaky snake, Russell Wilson, sneaky snake boy.
I blame the heat.
It's fucking humid. It's terrible. It really is.
But the defense is going to have to carry that team most of the season. Joey Porter Jr. should be able to take another step forward to be better than he was last year. TJ Watt is just TJ Watt. He's already in the Hall of Fame. Let's just put him in there already. But like I think we talked a little bit yesterday, and your good buddy Lombardi on Pat's show.
Can't stand that motherfucker.
As long as the Steelers can score 17 to 20 points a game, they got to be able to pull out 6-7 wins just off of that.
Well, and we've talked about this before with the Steelers' defense. Is that defense is going to win them games? It won them games last year when they had Pickett in there, or even when Pickett was hurt. Like that defense for the last 2 or 3 years is the reason why the Steelers still haven't had a sub 500 season under Tomlin. Like that defense is the only reason why. With T.J. Watt and Hayward and like that's why that team is the way it is. Fitzpatrick there in the back. I mean that Steelers defense is it. And to that point, whether or not I think we get Russell Wilson being good or Justin Fields being good or some combination of them, if they platoon them, who knows? I'm pretty sure Tomlin is a subscriber of the if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. But desperate times call for desperate measures. Who knows how he's going to look at that? I'm interested to see how it turns out. But I agree. I don't disagree that I think the Steelers are going to have an above 500 year. We'll see it in my picks coming up. But I think the Steelers are going to be on the better half of things. I think they're going to be on the better side of things. So I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with how you look at that. And then your 4th place team is, well, I mean,
Cleveland
it's
Browns.
Pretty simple because the process of elimination is only one team left. So what is it that you have against the Cleveland Browns and who people are calling Groper Cleveland there in old Sean?
I didn't hear that one.
Oh, dude, there's so many good memes and nicknames for him now. I mean, granted, not for good reasons. I mean, allegedly, I don't know. I don't want to get sued by anybody. I don't want to do anything like that. So allegedly, but Groper Cleveland might be one of the better ones I've heard. Might be one of the better ones I've seen. But okay, so you have them. So explain why the Brownies are on the ass end of this division.
So, the first point I'll make about the Browns being the last, I kind of talked about the whole time, it's a tough division. They're not going to beat the Bengals. They're not going to beat the Ravens. It's going to be 3rd and 4th place between them and Steelers. So it's a tough division there. The defense is basically going to have to do what they did last year and carry this team to some wins. The big reason why I have him here is Deshaun Watson. I don't think that shoulder is back to being full strength. Um, One of the things I saw was when he was with Houston, he his deep ball accuracy percentage wise was one of the top like 5 or 10, 5 or 6 in the league. Went to the Browns. Even his first year or two with the Browns, he was good with the accuracy. Got hurt, came back, and all of a sudden, it's almost like he lost that strength to get the ball down there. So I think the shoulder issue is gonna be a lingering thing with this upcoming season. So that's why I have them at 8 and 9, and I kind of feel bad saying last place because to me an 8 and 9 record is an average record. I mean, let's be honest. If we had 17 games,
Because
it
of the
would be an
17,
average
nobody
record.
can be 8-8 anymore. Yeah, but
Yeah,
that might
and
be
it's
changing
not.
soon.
Yeah,
That might be changing.
yes.
We know that
I
they're
mean,
going hard and heavy, NFL and NFLPA, discussing about the 18-game season, which we all knew was coming.
yeah. Like that was the worst kept secret.
But 8 and 9, below 500 with that defense. But here's the thing, and to your point, it seems like the running theme that we kind of have here with these teams, whether it's the Jets, whether it's the Dolphins, whether it's the Bills, whether it's the Bengals, whether it's the Browns now, is the quarterback healthy? Can the
Yeah,
quarterback stay healthy? If the quarterback is healthy and can stay healthy, I think for us, a lot of these teams can do something and be on the better half. If not, like again, your reason for putting the Browns where they are at 8 and 9 is you're not quite sure about Deshaun's shoulder,
yeah.
and if he's not
And
100%,
I'll say this: even if his shoulder is completely back, and he is Deshaun Watson from Houston, I have him in third place. Even a Houston Deshaun Watson does not beat the Ravens or the Bengals this year.
I mean that's not. I don't know. That Browns defense is pretty fucking good. Browns defense is pretty good. I'm just pointing that out. I think the Browns defense is super good. I really do. And you'll see when I do my picks here in a moment why I think that. Let's go ahead. I just like doing the graphic stuff. I'm sorry. I like playing. I'm starting to learn how to do this stuff, so I like playing. So, but no, I don't disagree with a lot of your reasoning and why you're saying those things. Again, we talked a little bit off air about it. We didn't tell each other what our picks were. We just said that none of them matched. So,
Yeah.
so we know we have completely different picks. But I don't disagree with a lot of them. And again, with the Browns pick, I don't disagree with it if Deshaun is indeed not healthy. If he is not, like if the shoulder's not there, and this is the other thing too. Like this is going to be his third year uh, uh, with Cleveland.
Yeah,
Because he had the 1 year where he couldn't play,
yeah,
where he was kind of out of everything, and then Cleveland got him, and then he had the 12-game suspension after everything or something like that. So he only played the last little bit there, and then last season he played and didn't play badly until he got hurt with his shoulder. I think the Browns were 5-2 or something, or 5-1 under him until he got
yeah,
hurt. So again, not terrible. He has to stay healthy. He has to play a whole season. Like he has to play. He has to play this year.
yeah,
Like this trade that the Browns made for him and the contract they gave him and the upheaval of that, like all of that, has not paid off at all yet. There's been no significant dividends. The only reason the Browns have been somewhat decent, somewhat good, have won any games, has really been their defense. Because I'm not saying that it's Deshaun, like Deshaun's the reason they haven't won any games. It's just that he's not there.
yeah,
Like he's not a reason they've won or lost because he's on the sidelines. And he's hurt. The only reason the Browns were in the playoffs last year was because of a lot of their backups and the coaching of Stefanski, which is why he won Coach of the Year again. And that defense, between the coaching of Stefanski and that defense, that was the strength of the Browns. If Deshaun Watson can stay healthy, I think the Browns are a lot better than last place in the division. So, with that being said, let's take a look over at my forecast of what we have for the AFC North. And let's pop this up here real quick. And we're going to go a little bit more in depth with me. I'm going to thank the people at playoffpredictors.com. Not a sponsor, unfortunately. I would love to have a sponsor, but their tool has been very helpful. I love their tool. It's a good tool. I love working their tool. It's been great in trying to help keep everything organized and, know that I'm picking the right teams and not overlapping games or, having records that don't make sense or anything like that. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them. And also it helps in explaining what the hell I'm talking about. So with that, let's pop my picks up here. And what do we got? Bang! I have in first place, I don't think it's going to be a big surprise for anybody. I have the Baltimore Ravens. I have them at 14-3. I have the Baltimore Ravens at 14-3. Okay. If I can even talk. Having a little Biden moment. Sorry. In second, I have your Cleveland Browns at 13-4.
Wow.
See, I know. See, in third place, I have the Cincinnati Bengals at 12-5. And in fourth place, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 11-6. Now, this is what I'm telling you.
Well, I would love to look at your picks.
We're gonna go through them. Picks. We're gonna go through them. Trust me. This is gonna be. I'm gonna have the whiteboard up here. It's gonna be. Oh, we're gonna go through it.
That's a lot of wins for one division.
It's gonna be interesting. I will say this. In my picks, in doing all these picks for all the divisions and all the teams, every game of the year that we did here, every team from the AFC North makes the playoffs.
Now that has never happened yet, right?
In the 4-team divisions, no. The NFC East had it happen, I think, twice, where we had 3 teams make it.
Yeah.
I don't know if any divisions had all 4 make it yet,
okay.
But I think that changes this year. Again, I think. I don't quote me on that.
One
I think it.
sounds
I don't think it's happened where, because it's been. When did Houston come in? 2002.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been a while.
That's so we're talking like 22 seasons, 23 seasons since that started, and since we've had the 8 divisions, 4 teams each division. So I don't think there's been a case of where, and then again, that still wasn't available up until recently when they added the extra wild card team.
Yeah.
Because even when there was a time you could only get 3 teams in a division that could get there, because there wasn't that extra spot, because you had the 4 division winners and then 2 wild cards. Now there's 3 wild cards. So now it's available. So in that time that you were able to do it, which is the last 4 or 5 years since they've had the expanded playoffs, it hasn't happened yet, but this could be the year. So let's go through this. Let me pull up the Baltimore Ravens here. The schedule I have for them. Now, the Ravens start off in Kansas City. I have them beating Kansas City at home. If the Lions were able to do it last year, I think the Ravens, with their team having Derrick Henry, the talent that they have, the defense they have, going to Kansas City is still, listen, the Chiefs is the Chiefs. Don't get me wrong. But I think Baltimore is one of those teams that can go in there and beat Kansas City in Kansas City early on. I absolutely believe that. Week 2, they play the Raiders.
Who do you have Baltimore beating? Kansas City?
Kansas City.
Okay. I got my picks up. I want to see how close I am to you.
Okay. So I have Baltimore beating Kansas City. Week 2, I have them beating the Raiders. They're playing in Baltimore there. So week 3, they're at Dallas. That's a win for Baltimore. Week 4, Buffalo comes in. I think Baltimore beats Buffalo. Week 5, first division game. That's going to be against the Bengals in Cincinnati. Tough game. I think Baltimore wins that, though. Even in Cincinnati. It's early in the season still. And again, it's the AFC North. These teams know each other. It's not something like that. And I just think that Baltimore at this moment, especially in the regular season, I think they're at this moment on paper, as you look at stats and look at everything like that, I think Baltimore's a better team than Cincinnati right now. That's not saying Cincinnati's bad. I just think Baltimore is that little bit better.
Yeah.
So now I have them beating the Bengals. Then they play Washington. That's a win. Then Baltimore goes down to Tampa Bay. Remember I always said there's always those,
Okay,
oh
yeah.
wow, who would expect that? Who would have thought that? I have Tampa Bay beating the Baltimore Ravens in Tampa Bay.
And that
in
should
week
be a
7.
good game to begin with.
What's that?
And that should be a good game to begin
I think that
with.
should be a good game. I think it should be. And it's just one of those things where they're on the road. It just seems like one of those games that's ripe for it.
Yeah.
Just call me crazy. Call me crazy. I feel that I feel it. I just feel it. Anyway, moving on. I have them. Then they play Cleveland at Cleveland. I have that as a loss for them. So that's 2 games in a row that I have the Ravens losing. 2-game losing streak. Things aren't going well in Baltimore. Oh my God, is Lamar really the guy? I'm sure you'll see that. No. Then they play Denver. That's a win. Then they play Cincinnati in Baltimore. I think they sweep the Bengals. I think Baltimore wins that one at home as well. Then you have Baltimore visiting the Steelers. Back-to-back. Hard, tough division games. Now they're going on the road to face Pittsburgh and that defense. Pittsburgh wins. Close game. Probably low-scoring game. Think of like a 10-7, 13-10 kind of game. But I think Pittsburgh wins that game. Then Baltimore goes out to the Chargers. They win. They play the Eagles in Baltimore. That's a win. Then they get a bye. They have a super late bye. Week 14 bye for Baltimore.
That's a nice bye.
Yeah. Then they play another NFC East team in the Giants after the bye. That's a win for Baltimore.
I don't know.
Let's be fucking serious. Listen, I would love for it not to be. I would love for them to surprise me on that one. But for right now, I'm trying to be realistic here. Then they play the Steelers. The Steelers come to Baltimore in Week 16. I believe Baltimore wins that one. Then Baltimore makes a trip to Houston. Should be a good game. Should be a tight game, but I think Baltimore wins. And then Week 18 in Baltimore, Cleveland Browns versus the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens win that one to end the season and to, in essence, if you looked at my record, win the division. That's going to be basically the division championship, in my mind, at the end of the year.
Okay.
So that's what we have there for the Baltimore Ravens. Is it 14-3 in the division? They'd be 4-2, 10-2 within the conference. They would have a 10-3 record versus winning teams, 4-0 versus losing teams, 8-3 versus potential playoff teams. That's what I love. I love all these stats this thing brings up. It's great. 8-0 at home, undefeated at home. I have them undefeated at home, 6-3 away. And the number 1 team in the AFC. So I mean, I think that's I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good, and that's why I have them there. And then I have the Browns. Let's take a look at the Browns here, so that we all understand where I'm coming from, because you seem to be confused about how I had my things. So here we go. Week 1, it's the Browns versus the Cowboys. Browns win. Week 2, Browns versus Jaguars. Browns. Week 3, Giants versus Browns. Browns. Week 4, Browns versus Raiders. Browns. Week 5, Browns versus Commanders. Browns. Week 6, Browns versus Eagles. Browns. Be upset, I don't care.
I can't wait to see what you got
I
Eagles
like
record.
the Browns defense. And if Deshaun is healthy, again, good game, close game. It's in Philadelphia too. But I think the Browns, as of right now, will beat the Eagles at home. Week 7, Bengals go to the Browns. Bengals win. That's their first loss. Is going to be against their interstate rivals there, intrastate rivals. Sorry, in the Bengals. Week 8, Ravens come to Cleveland. That's, as we learned, a loss. Oh, I'm sorry, a win. That's a win for Cleveland. Apologize. So Cleveland beats Baltimore in Cleveland. Then the Chargers come to Cleveland. That's another win for Cleveland. Then they have a bye in Week 10. Then they play the Saints. That's a win for Cleveland. Week 12, they play the Steelers. That's a win for Cleveland. Week 13, they play the who do they play? Broncos. That's a win for Cleveland. Week 14 against the Steelers, they're at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh wins. Week 15 against the Chiefs in Cleveland, that's a win. Week 16 against the Bengals in Cincinnati, Bengals win. They split with the Bengals. Week 17 against the Dolphins at home in Cleveland. Dolphins, not a big fan of the cold. They're going to be right there on the lake with the wind and the cold in Cleveland. That's a Cleveland win. And as we mentioned before, the de facto division championship against the Ravens. In Week 18, they lose that game to the Ravens. And that's what gets you the 13-4 record there for the Browns. 2-4 in the division, so a losing record within the division. Again, tough. The AFC North is going to be tough. I think we both agree with that. Yeah. 8-4 conference. You see all the stuff there. It's pretty decent. Now let's look at the Bengals, so that we can all understand here. Week 1, they play the Patriots. That's a win. Come on. Sorry to all my Boston friends there, but what's that?
What's the Bengals record again?
The Bengals, I have them at 12-5.
Okay, that's right.
So they're 12-5. Beat the Patriots. Then they lose to the Chiefs in week 2. There's just, there was that whole thing about the Arrowhead being Burrowhead. And, the Bengals are going to run Kansas City and they're going to do all that. The moment they did that, the Chiefs beat them. And it just, I feel like the Chiefs are going to, the Chiefs aren't going to lose back-to-back games at Arrowhead. They're not going to lose to the Ravens and then to the Bengals both at home.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. So, Chiefs win. Then they play Washington back in Cincinnati. That's a win. Against the Panthers. Come the fuck on. That's a win. Then they play the Ravens. That's a loss. Then they play the Giants. That's a win. Then they play the Browns. I have them winning that first game. Then they play the Eagles. That's a win. Sorry about it. Deal with it. Every time I have the Eagles losing, I'm going to deal with it. Then they play the Raiders. That's a win. Then they play the Ravens. That's a loss. Then they play the Chargers in LA. I have that as a loss. Don't ask me why. One of those games, I think it's just, you're talking about middle of the season. I think the Chargers at that point can be kind of getting into the Harbaugh system and understanding what he's doing. And it just seems like one of those games that they can lose.
Yeah.
Then week 12, they have a bye. A lot of late byes in the North. Week 13, they play the Steelers at home. That's a win for the Steelers. Steelers are stealing a game there. Then the Bengals go to Dallas to play on a Monday night. That's a win for the Bengals. Because I don't know if you've noticed this yet or not. I have no faith in the NFC East at all.
I was going to say, so far you have Giants, Dallas, and the Eagles all winless.
And Washington. Don't forget Washington. They're all. None of them have done well. None of them have done well against AFC North. Then I have the Bengals beating the Titans in Week 15. Week 16 is against the Browns at home. They win. Week 17 against the Broncos at home. They win. And then Week 18, to close it out, in Pittsburgh, I have the Bengals getting the win at Heinz Field. Because it will always be Heinz Field. Always. I have the Bengals splitting the division for the season at 3-3. They're 12-5, obviously, overall. I have them. They will be the 6th ranked team in the conference, which means they get the playoff spot, number 6. 6-2 at home. 6-3 on the road. Not bad. Not bad. 6-5 versus winning teams with winning records, as far as I have it. 6-0 versus teams with losing records. And 6-4 versus potential playoff teams. So, again, good. I think that's how they get in. As I look at the schedule, it's just like there's some of the, like, where are we finding either another loss or another win? Like, they could get another win maybe against Los Angeles, the Chargers. Do they get another loss maybe with one of the NFC East teams, the Eagles, the Giants pull off something? I don't know, because the Giants are at least at home. The Eagles have to go on the road. Or maybe Dallas on a Monday night at home. I don't think so. Like
I think Dallas and LA is going to be like the tricky ones to predict because you're not going to know which team's going to show up.
And honestly, I think any of the division games, especially with the AFC North, you can flip flop.
Yeah.
So however that goes, so that could go anyway. This is just how I kind of see it breaking down for them. But again, I don't think I'm too far off on this. I might be crazy. I don't know. But I'm not going to skip Bayless it. I'm not saying this is a guarantee. I'm not saying this is the way it's going to be. I'm saying just looking at it at this point, with how everything is on paper, with either injuries or non-injuries or people coming back from injuries, how it looks, how this is almost to me best case scenario for every team. And that's how I look at it. Even like when we did the AFC East and it was like, the Patriots are 2-15. I kind of see that as the best case scenario for them right now. Unfortunately for them, but that's how I see it.
Yeah.
And then let's go to the Steelers, who I have as last place, but still ranked as number 7 overall in conference, which means they get the last playoff spot. 11-6. Let's run through this and let's see how we feel about it. In week 1, I have them playing the Atlanta Falcons, and I have them winning in Atlanta. There's just something about the Falcons I'm not buying into yet. Brand new coach, and you got Kirk Cousins there. But again, they went and drafted Big Penix Energy there. And it's going to be like, I don't know. Like, I think Atlanta is kind of a unknown as it is.
Yeah.
So, call me crazy. I don't know. Week 2 against Denver, at Denver. So their Steelers are starting off back-to-back road games, but I think they get back-to-back wins on the road. Beating Denver. Denver, again, they're going to probably be starting Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Because if they're not starting Bo Nix, they're starting who? Zach Wilson?
For MVP.
So you have, you have a rookie quarterback. You have a team that, I mean, come on. Let's. I don't think Denver is going to be anything. No great shakes this year for Denver. Is how I see it. Week 3, the Chargers come into Heinz Field because it will always be Heinz Field, and I think they get the win. I think that's where the Steelers get their first losses against the Chargers. Again, I think the Chargers are going to be better than what people think this year, and we'll get to the AFC West and we'll see. But I think the Chargers, you got to watch out for the Chargers this year. I really do think so.
Yeah.
Week 4 at Indianapolis. I think that's another loss for the Steelers. I think Indianapolis wins. Again, Indianapolis is a team I think better than some people may think. And I think some people think they'll be good too, but I think they'll still be better than some people think. Week 5, Dallas comes to Heinz Field to visit Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh wins. Again, no faith in the NFC East. Pardon me. Week, what do we got? 6. The Steelers go out to Vegas to play the Raiders. I think they win that game out there against Vegas. Again, the Steelers' defense is going to do a lot. Week 7, the Jets come in to Heinz Field to play them, and I think the Steelers get a win there. Again, as good as we think the Jets are, and they are, and I think they're going to be good, that Steelers' defense is still something to behold. And the Jets have a good defense as well. So I think that's another one of those 10-7, 12-10, 13-10, 16-17 kind of games. Like, that's going to be what you're looking at there. Defensive struggle.
Yeah.
Week 8, the Giants make a trip out to Heinz Field. We know the drill.
It's always Heinz Field.
It's Heinz Field, and it's the Giants losing. It's the NFC East losing. Week 9 is when the Steelers have their bye. Week 10, the Steelers versus the Washington football team of Redskin Commanders. Guess who wins? Guess it. I want you to guess it. You got 3 chances, and the first 2 don't count.
I mean, the NFC East has to win at some point, right?
No. No. Actually, looking through all this, the NFC East went 0 against the North. Absolute
Wow.
0. That's so great. I love it. Week 11, they play the Ravens. That's when I had it as a win for the Steelers at home against the Ravens. Week 12, at the Browns. I have that as a loss. The Browns win that one. Week 13, the Steelers at Cincinnati. I have that as a win for the Steelers. Week 14, man, can I just say, what a stretch of games this is. Week 11 to week 14, they play the Ravens, Browns, Bengals, and Browns. What a stretch for the Steelers. And I have them losing to the Ravens, losing to the Browns, beating the Bengals, and then beating the Browns at home. So they go 2 for 2 in that stretch. I have it. Yeah. But what a murderous stretch that is.
Well, that's why a lot of fans were bitching about that stretch. Like, how could the NFL schedule that stretch and also that late in the year, too?
I was going to say, that is... Then they catch a break because they play the NFC East again in the Eagles. And I have that again as a win for the Steelers. In the Battle of Pennsylvania, the Keystone Cup, or whatever the hell you guys call it. I have no idea. Then the next week, they are at Baltimore. That's a loss. Baltimore Ravens, I think, should win that pretty easily. That'll be on a Saturday. Week 17, the Chiefs come to Heinz Field, because it's always going to be Heinz Field. And the Chiefs, looking like ketchup, will win. I think that's fair there. And then week 18, the Bengals come into town, and as we just saw with them, I think they win that as well. So that's the breakdown of how I have the AFC North and how I got to those records. Again, I have the Steelers 3-3 in division, 6-6 in the conference. So really, the difference for them is those 4 games against the NFC East is really the difference for them getting up to like a playoff record. 5-3 at home, 6-3 away, 7-6 versus winning teams, 4-0 versus losing teams, and 7-5 against potential playoff teams. That's how I have that breaking down. And just to take another look here at my thing, Ravens 14-3, Browns 13-4. So I have each team one less than the other, basically, is how it came down to. Ravens 14 wins, Browns 13, Bengals 12, Steelers 11. And I have the entire division making the playoffs.
Now let me ask you this.
Okay.
Without revealing who is the 8th place team, how many games up or ahead are the Steelers on that team?
1.
So they're up by 1 game. So if the NFC East, so if the Eagles beat the Steelers, which they will, they could get knocked out of the playoffs.
They could, depending on how this all breaks out. And again, this is just how this breaks out.
Yeah.
And so that's it. I won't reveal who the 8th team is.
Yeah.
But it's surprising. Because here's the thing you have to remember now. Because the way that this broke down for me as I was making these picks. And again, I made these picks on a week-by-week thing. I wasn't going like, well, this is what I think each team is going to be, and then let me fill it out. I went week by week picking the games based on how I thought the games would play out. And again, as you get later in the season, you don't know, because you don't know who's injured, you don't know who's not, you don't know how things are going to break down. So you're kind of working everything as a best-case scenario for every team, which never works out that way. Yeah. So, like, a lot of this is pure conjecture, and I get that. But if somehow this is the one season where everything just is magical and works out for every team the way it goes, because the AFC North would have all 4 teams making it, that means the rest of the other 3 divisions, only the division champion makes it.
Yeah.
So you're talking about there's teams that you're thinking about, oh, that team is good. How could that team not make it? How is that team not going to make it? Because the AFC North got greedy. Now, again, when we did the AFC East, we had the Jets at 14-3. And then the Dolphins, we have a second place at 8-9. So that's not really a surprise that none of them were going to, like the rest of the division there wasn't going to make it.
Yeah.
But, and some of the other ones, I mean, it's surprising. I think some other teams will do better than others, but I mean, it's interesting. I love this. I love doing this. I love this kind of prediction stuff. And I love this thing here from, again, playoffpredictors.com. Again, not getting sponsored. Wish we were. But, you know, if you want to throw us a couple bucks, that'd be great because you guys do great work. And I just want to thank you for making this so much easier for my ADHD brain to focus and figure out who I'm picking and what things or everything like that. Because otherwise I'd have to use Excel or a spreadsheet. And I don't know how to do that. And I would just fucking quit at that point. So thank you very much. But that is it. So just to go over this real quick, once again, there's my picks here. I have the Ravens finishing in first place at 14-3. The Browns in second with 13-4. Bengals in third place at 12-5. And in fourth place, the Steelers at 11-6. And then if we go ahead and take a look at Jimbo, you have the Bengals in first place at 13-4. The Ravens at 12-5. The Steelers in third place at 9-8. And the Cleveland Browns at 8-9. I'm interested. I really wonder, because here's the thing. Let's say Russell Wilson has a renaissance. Let's just say. One of the strangest things that could ever happen is Russell Wilson all of a sudden plays really good all of a sudden.
Yeah.
The Steelers could end up near the top of that division. Like, with that Steelers defense, if all of a sudden the Steelers offense out of nowhere does something. Now, again, I don't think they really have too many offensive weapons. They kind of, they don't really have. I
mean, they got a running game.
They got Pickens. So I mean,
Pickens,
that's a clear number one receiver. So they got Pickens.
Yeah.
But they don't really have a running game. I
think they do. They got Najee Harris, and they got the kid that was spelling him last season, who I thought should have been starting over Harris.
I don't know. Naj kind of seems. I would like to listen. I would like to see him do well. So we'll see. But just imagine that. Let's say that all of a sudden Russell Wilson and Pickett pick up a connection, or if not, let's say it's Justin Fields. We're all assuming it's going to be Russell Wilson. What if it's Justin? It doesn't look like it. Apparently, they were looking at him to either return kicks or run like option plays and stuff. So I'm not sure how well that's working out so far. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's say like just one of the quarterbacks that the Steelers grabbed actually has a bit of a renaissance. The Steelers can immediately jump up there to one of the teams that's like an absolute surprise, one of those worst to first kind of team situations where it's like all of a sudden there's something. But that it would take something that nobody is seeing right now.
Yeah.
And nobody's seeing Russell Wilson be that guy. Or Justin Fields. Nobody is seeing that. But I think their defense is good enough to keep them in games and to get them into the playoffs. I do. I mean, just like last year, the reason they made the playoffs was because of their defense. Yeah. And the worst thing that happened was T.J. Watt getting hurt in that Ravens game.
Yep.
Because then they had no shot in Buffalo. If T.J. Watt plays that game in Buffalo, Pittsburgh has a shot. Yeah. And rarely do you say that a defensive player can be that difference between a winning and losing a playoff game. I think T.J. Watt is that impactful of a player. But again, a lot like his brother, he has injury issues. He can't stay healthy for a whole season. And that's, as we talked about other teams with their quarterback staying healthy, I think the biggest thing for the Steelers is not whether Russell Wilson or Justin Fields stay healthy. It's can T.J. Watt stay healthy? If T.J. Watt stays healthy, the Steelers can do a lot of things and they can surprise a lot of people.
I could agree with that.
So that's but that's it. That's going to do it for now. For this Friday forecast, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you for subscribing. If you're not subscribed, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that little notification bell so you know when any of our videos pop up. The countdown comes out on Tuesdays. The main show comes out on Wednesdays. This show obviously comes out on Fridays. Thank you for watching. And, of course, when the season gets here, the live streams begin, baby. That's it. We're going to be live streaming a shit ton of games. Thursday night. Obviously, in week one, Friday night, because the Eagles are playing down in Brazil. We've got the Sunday night games and Sunday day games. And even sometimes we'll be on here at 9. Well, I'll be on here at 9:30. Your ass will probably still be sleeping. But I'll be up here at 9:30 in the morning watching those goddamn London games and the German games and all that fun stuff. Monday night games. And it's so much fun. Maybe we'll do some college stuff too. It's all going to be it's going to be a blast. If you want to know whenever we have another video pop up or a live stream pop up, hit that notification bell, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. For your good friend Jimbo. I'm your boy King. Have a great Friday and a great weekend, folks. Adios.